Well, it's finally the real deal. We had a little bit of a taste. We had a little bit of an appetizer this past Saturday. But this week, week one of college football, my God, we got a good one. We got a good slate. It starts off Thursday night, Boise State, South Florida, the number 25 team in the land. Those Boise State Broncos, they are a pretty interesting bunch. Mado Matson returns, for Boise State. Boise State, the presumptive favorite to get that group of five spot in the college football playoff. Right now, Boise is a favored, to win this game. Um, South Florida, it's going to be a hot, muggy afternoon. It's a Thursday night game, or rather, it's a Thursday afternoon game. So, it's going to be very intriguing to see how Boise handles the elements. South Florida, hopefully things don't go too crazy. Before we shift gears and talk about the rest of week one, let's talk about week zero. Crazy game, Rocco Beck and Avery Johnson dueled out in Ireland, in which there were about four turnovers in this game that were really, really rough. This was a rough game for about three quarters, and then finally it just decided to get a little bit crazy after that. Carson Hansen, he did pretty well. Avery Johnson with some deep bombs, but ultimately, again, at the end of the day, the turnovers, the weird plays that happened, like there were no interceptions thrown in this game, just four fumbles. Four fumbles. Not a lot of penalties either that impacted this game. A lot of fourth down calls that made no sense, though. But, it is what it is with that. And Iowa State, at the end of the day, all they needed to do was get a first down. They got it. It was a little bit of a weirdness to that play at the end, but ultimately they got it. They got the first down. They got the win. And, they kneeled out the last that clock. And now Iowa State starts off 1-0 with the upset victory over the number 17 team in the country in Kansas State, as they are number 22 in the nation. So, that's one thing. The other two big things that happened, Hawaii beat Stanford. Their kicker was like, you know what? I don't know how to kick. Let me use YouTube to kick. And thus, that is, how, for one, Frank Reich is an idiot. For two, crazy how a kicker can just learn from YouTube how to kick instead of going out into the field and actually kicking the ball. But you know what? It's fine. It's fine. Like, wow, it's crazy. And then the FCS kickoff between UC Davis and Mercer was declared a no contest, despite like 75% of the game being played. Like, none of the stats count now. The team's technically open, week one, against their respective opponents. It's like, that's such nonsense, such idiocy, such lunacy. What are we talking about here? You can't declare a no. You're not even supposed to do that because three-fourths of the game isn't played. Not even supposed to do that. I get it because of the lightning strikes in Montgomery, Alabama, but honestly, why is the Crampton Bowl still hosting the FCS kickoff in the first place? Why is it still hosting the FCS kickoff? I don't know why. ESPN Events continues to have that game down there when, the last couple of years things have been going wrong with the game because, nobody wants to be down in Alabama at this time of the year. You get either heat stroke, or in the case of this, you get, intermittent lightning that, takes players off the field, and keeps them inside because, don't want them to get struck by lightning or nothing like that. So, yeah. Crazy how that's a no contest. But, we have football all throughout the weekend now. If you thought Saturday was a treat. This weekend is going to be a treat. Now, this might be the only weekend of the entire season that I get to really take it in and soak in the fact that there's college football on my TV screen. It's just a beautiful way to get through Labor Day, because man, Saturdays are going to be a lot of highlight watching, man, and I'm not ready to do it like that. But I have to do it like the rest of the YouTube world, watch highlights and like the rest of these kids out here, and these young guns trying to get their start. Have to be out here watching the highlights every week, or highlights packages. So Boise State, South Florida is the main game. There are a bunch of lower tier matchups with top 25 teams, such as Illinois with Western Illinois on Friday. Yeah, there's Colorado, Georgia Tech, but who's watching that on Friday? I'm watching volleyball on Friday. I'm watching volleyball WNBA on Friday. Duh. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, you know what? Let me turn on Georgia Tech and Colorado, and let me turn on Illinois taking on Western Illinois, one of the worst FCS teams in FCS. Like, they're that bad. Western Illinois is that bad. But yeah, Illinois should cruise. Indiana takes on Old Dominion on Saturday. They should take care of business. Same with Georgia taking on Marshall. Iowa State taking on a powerful FCS team in South Dakota. Should be a little bit closer than what you think. Penn State, a lot of hype around Penn State. They'll be taking on Nevada. Oregon, number 7 in the country, taking on Montana State, which is going to be intriguing. It's going to be intriguing. Dante Moore is going to, lead the way for the Ducks this year. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I get it. It's gonna be something. I don't know what this game is gonna be like, but just if you want to watch that game, do yourself a favor and kind of do your best with that one. Because honestly, if it's like last year where Oregon struck with Idaho to start the season, things are different because of the transfer portal and everything like that. Transfer portal has changed so much. Like, why is Oklahoma ranked to start the season? Yeah, they're taking on Illinois State. Texas A&M has UTSA. Kansas State looking to rebound against North Dakota. North Dakota, of course, is not North Dakota State. But North Dakota, the other team in North Dakota, that's also pretty good. So Kansas State better watch out. Florida, they're taking on LIU. Texas Tech, they're taking on Arkansas Pine Bluff. That should be an easy win for them. Michigan Wolverines. They're playing a game. That's going to be the Saturday night NBC game with Bryce Underwood at quarterback, which is crazy to me. Justice Haynes is also on Michigan. But honestly, again, Michigan should take care of business. Ole Miss taking on Georgia State. SMU taking on East Texas A&M. Northern Arizona and Arizona State. That should also be a game that happens, But yeah, the big ones, the other big ones that take the place, of the rest of the slate. Let's start where any normal, sane man would go, and let's start with the top 3 matchup. You know what I'm saying? Let's start with the matchup that makes absolutely no sense in the fact that this is a top 3 matchup instead of a 1 versus 2, whatever. Julian Sayin has a talented roster around him. Ohio State is a talented team. Texas Longhorns, talented team. Arch Manning will lead the way now. 2 colliding forces of Texas that has talent all over the place, 5-star talent all over the place. Ohio State, 5-star talent all over the place. Jeremiah Smith's back, for one thing. So now, Steve Sarkisian, Ryan Day, clash of styles. And, this is a rematch of, the game in which Ohio State was able to punch their ticket into the CFP National Championship and take care of business in the national championship. The defending champs, they're here. They're ready. And this is going to be one hell of a matchup, between Dave Portnoy and the Barstool crew, getting, in a little bit of a heated conflict with, Ohio State, the brass at Ohio State is just like, oh, okay, why are y'all beefing? What's up? And he got banned from the stadium. Like, Fox was supposed to debut this man as, like something special for their big noon kickoff, which Ohio State fans loathe. They loathe that. But yeah, it's a game that's going to happen. It's obviously I'm biased because I want my Longhorns to win, but it is what it is with that one. Two other matchups, kind of sandwiched, during and slightly after this is Syracuse, Tennessee. I don't think Tennessee's going to do too much, but they should be able to win against Syracuse. I don't think it's going to be, like crazy or anything like that. And then Ty Simpson, the Alabama Crimson Tide, and Kalen DeBoer taking on Mike Norvell's Florida State team, a Florida State team that's coming off a terrible season this past year. Florida State is another team that should be locked and loaded, but Alabama just has way too much firepower, I think, for this matchup. Garrett Nussmeier, Cade Klubnik, top 10 matchup. LSU Clemson, the battle of the Tigers, Death Valley. Dabo versus Brian Kelly. It's a matchup made for Saturday night. It's a matchup made for Saturday night, and it just works out so well. Top 10 matchup, talent all over the place. LSU trying to prove something. Clemson, the presumptive favorite in the ACC. There's a lot of juice to that one. Miami, Notre Dame, let's see. Like you got a Miami team that I don't know what they are with Carson Beck, but I don't know if it's gonna be, crazy. Then they got talent. They got talent. A lot of wide receivers, because that's what Miami does. But I don't know, bro. Notre Dame, still with Tyler Buchner, still with Jeremiah Love, still with a good chunk of that solid defense from last year. We're talking one of the best defenses in the nation last year. I don't know what is going to happen in this one. This Notre Dame team is disciplined. They have the strength. They can do whatever they want to do. And speaking of the guys that can do whatever they want to do, Norris Sellers and those South Carolina Gamecocks. Honestly, I think they're playoff material. They have Virginia Tech on Sunday, which is going to be saying a lot. This is going to be an intriguing one. And then last but not least, the last game I want to talk about, really to kind of, wrap things up here, is TCU, North Carolina. Honestly, the biggest thing about this game is that Bill Belichick is returning to coaching after a tumultuous offseason of nonsense with him and his girlfriend, his 20-something-year-old girlfriend. I think Bill's just happy to actually be coaching games again. And we'll see if the NIL and stuff like that treats him well, but I don't know. I don't know if North Carolina has that oomph, to really make it stand out. What else happened this week? Oh yeah, that's right. Fox and YouTube TV is like, we're having a little bit of conflict too. Like, what's going on here, bro? I genuinely do not know what is happening here at this point with Fox, because there's been some nonsense that's been going crazy. Like, I don't get it at this point. I really don't get it. I really don't get it at this point. It's whatever with Fox and YouTube. There's plenty of alternative ways to watch. And I think there was like it might have been like DirecTV or something like that disputed too with Fox. I don't know. The point is that there's just entirely too much going on with Fox right now. Like there is so much negativity with Fox. It's like Fox is just trying to broadcast the game at this point. Like I think they're ready. I think they're ready to. I don't know. Like this has been brewing. The big noon kickoff stuff has been brewing. And then we got this, Then we got the carriage disputes, which are annoying. They're really annoying. Like carriage disputes annoy me more than ESPN and all the other networks not scheduling games properly, or if they want to schedule something at all, like this Sunday, NBC has absolutely nothing going on. Like literally no actual live sports, I think, from what I saw in the TV guides, from like 12 to like 4. And I'm being serious. Go look at your TV guides and you tell me what you're seeing is what I'm seeing, because that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing no actual live sports. Live sports are king, make the most of it. But that's just me. So from me to you, this week, in college football is going to be crazy. It's going to be exciting. It's going to deliver in every single sort of way. And we have plenty of games to show off. We have plenty of teams, and there may be an upset or two along the way, and not just in the few matchups that I've mentioned that are top billing. I'm talking about the lower tier matchups as well. Like I said, those Dakota teams, they are no slouch at all. So got to be careful, guys. If you're playing a Dakota team, you got to be careful. Other than that, that's all I got. I'll see you all on Labor Day. It'll be Labor Day Monday when I see you all again. So enjoy this week. Relish in it. Cherish it. It is the true beginning of the college football season, and it's not going to stop until the national championship on MLK Day. It's not going to stop until then. So from me to you, good night. Have a good one. And hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble about some college football. If you didn't, are you here? You should be enjoying this. You know what I'm saying?